Okay, Facebook Live, Dr. James Dobson's Family Talk. Roger Marsh here at Anaheim Stadium, the Big A, getting ready for night number 2 of the Harvest Crusade. And joined here, we just happened to bump into Jon Erwin.
Hi.
Movie producer, director, writer, filmmaker. I mean,
whatever it takes.
You do it all.
No, I have a team that I am one member of an incredible team, and the idea that Andy and I make movies is probably not the right way to say it. We think of them, and we have amazing teams of people that bring them to life. And one of those is this new film on Steve McQueen.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Documentary's coming out September 28th. And I want to remind Family Talk listeners that the movies that you've done, Woodlawn is one.
Yeah, so started with October Baby, and then did Mom's Night Out, which is like a Hallmark card for my wife.
It's one of
my
mom and dad's one of their favorite movies
Really?
of all time. They love that movie.
I mean, I made a multi-million-dollar Hallmark card for my wife. It's I'm blessed.
Very kind.
And then Woodlawn, incredible true story. And then we just wrapped I Can Only Imagine, which will come out next spring. It's a film with Dennis Quaid, amazing movie. But in the middle, Greg Laurie brought me this idea of Steve McQueen, the biggest movie star of his day, biggest movie star in the world, and he came to Christ, and nobody knows the story. And in fact, there's these audio tapes that nobody's even heard where he claims his faith. And so we did a documentary on it, and this really cool kind of walk through old Hollywood, and we follow McQueen's story, and then we tell this part of his story that nobody knows about. And it really turned out great. And it was an amazing project to work on, and it comes out September 28th. It's a one-night event in theaters, over 800 theaters nationwide.
Great.
And it was a wonderful project to be a part of.
I'll bet it was. I mean, it's a great movie, and I have to admit, selfishly, I like the TAC tape players where you're actually playing the interviews.
Isn't that cool? You remember that stuff?
Well, you unearthed that, though. I mean, that's that his widow was holding on to that.
Well, it's amazing. You know, it was kind of a rumor. Did this really happen? Did the biggest movie star in the world come to faith in Christ? And why in the world would that story not have been told? And come to find out, yes, there was an interview he did 2 weeks before he died, where he tells his story and he says, I want to change some people's lives. I want to let people know what God has done for me. And it's been buried, you know. And so I think it's an incredible evangelistic tool. I would encourage people to bring their friends. A movie theater can be a very neutral place. With the movie we did, Woodlawn, we've had over 25,000 people come to Christ as a result of that movie, mostly young kids. Movies it's kind of like the language of our time, you know? And they can be very powerful tools. The right story well told can be a very powerful tool. So I look forward to this one coming out. I'm one of the most fascinating, interesting lives of a movie star ever lived. And that's why we called it Steve McQueen, American Icon. I mean, he really was an American icon. And I used to watch The Great Escape with my dad when I was a kid over and over again. And it's a really cool story, and I think it's really relatable. I think McQueen, at the top of his game, was not happy and was asking the question, why am I not happy? And we've all asked that question. Like, why do I not feel satisfied? Why do I not feel happy? Why do I not have peace? And that was the journey he went on. So it's a very relatable story, you know.
He is Jon Erwin. He's the director of the new Steve McQueen American Icon documentary. It's in theaters on Thursday, September 28th. And if you are not already on our Facebook page, if you're just watching this on Facebook, facebook.com/Dr. James Dobson's Family Talk. We're going to be giving away tickets to the screening that's happening. It's a one-night-only event on Thursday, September 28th. How did you put the whole story together? I mean, because understanding you make feature movies, someone writes a script.
Yeah.
With a documentary, script's already pretty much been written.
Well, yeah, documentaries, films are made, documentaries are discovered, you know? Yeah. And Andy and I directed documentaries before we did features, and I hadn't done one in a long time. And it was really, really satisfying. I just love telling stories. I think I consider myself a storyteller, serving the greatest storyteller of all time. And a great story that's entertaining and emotional can really be a great tool. And but there was this kind of worry because it was just a rumor that this had happened. Billy Graham had written about it a little bit, but nobody really knew the depth of the story. So you kind of have to dive in hoping it's true. And not only was it true, it far exceeded our expectations. And it was a great ensemble. Mel Gibson did an incredibly insightful kind of actor-on-actor interview My good buddy Gary Sinise is doing the narration, and from Forrest Gump and Apollo 13, and then Barbara McQueen, Steve's widow, does this incredibly intimate and brave interview, and so it's a really cool ensemble as Greg Laurie kind of tracks down the story, and we were just discovering it as we went, and it really blew our minds, and I think it's a very entertaining film, and you kind of get sucked into it because it's a lot of stuff about McQueen that you don't know. He was an up from nothing underdog.
Oh, that's an understatement. Yeah. I mean, when you describe what it was like for him going to the Chino Boys School, I mean, everything that he had, with the family issues, and him and Greg Laurie having such parallel paths, that was a fascinating aspect for me.
It's interesting, and Greg didn't know that till he started researching it. Marshall Terrell is an incredible McQueen biographer, and he's a producer on the film. Come to find out, Greg and McQueen's first 15 years are almost identical, and they face a lot of the same pain. So Greg could comment with a fair degree of accuracy on this abandonment that McQueen faced, and he had a rough childhood, and then he climbs the ladder just by sheer force of will to become the biggest movie star in the world, and then at the height of having everything he could ever want, he finds that he's empty.
Right.
And I think a lot of us face that, and then he goes on this search to find answers, and he ends up finding Christ, and that's when he's most happy in his life. But because after he got saved, he got cancer, the story was never able to be told, and has been buried
until now.
But so if you hear these tapes, this film is in many ways. It fulfills one of the last wishes of Steve McQueen. Because in these tapes that have never been heard, he says, I want people to know my story. I want to change some people's lives, and he was never able to. Yeah. So it's a pretty special thing to be able to make this film.
Jon Erwin, we have 60 seconds left in our time together here on Facebook Live. So, that's it. So you had a Facebook Live.
Crazy.
September 28th, we're here at the Harvest Festival tonight, the Harvest Crusade. That's why we're here to talk about this. The Bullet car is going to be here.
The actual Bullet from the greatest car chase sequence of all time is sitting outside. The actual car. Yeah. It's amazing. Come
on down. Go to Dr. James Dobson's Family Talk on the Facebook, and you can actually sign up for free tickets. Jon, in the last 30 seconds here, talk about why this movie as an evangelistic tool is so important to you.
Yeah, we found that basically if you tell a story that's entertaining, that's emotionally relatable, but that showcases the transformational power of the gospel, it is an incredible tool. And people see those stories and say, I need what's in that movie. Will someone tell me how to get what's in that movie? I say that, story is kind of the language of our hearts.
Amen.
Entertainment is the language of our time. Film unites the two at a neutral site, which is a movie theater. I think it's like the track of the 21st century. I guarantee you, if you bring someone that doesn't know Christ or needs to go further in their faith, it will begin a conversation. And I hope that you can seize that moment. So you can go to SteveMcQueenMovie.com. I'll say this selfishly, their pre-sales are very good, and we're teetering on having an encore, on them go ahead and giving us an encore.
Excellent.
So if you're thinking about buying tickets, buy them now and we'll get an encore.
Right.
So at SteveMcQueenMovie.com, it's really just enter your zip code. We got theaters all over the United States. And I'm excited about the world hearing this story for the first time.
Well, we are thrilled with the movie that you made. I've seen it. It's fantastic.
Great. Thank you.
Jon Erwin, the director of Steve McQueen, American Icon. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Today.
God bless you guys. Thanks a bunch. Appreciate it. Cool.